Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Woo! Technical difficulties. This live streaming thing. Anyway. Yay. How's everyone today? Good? All right. Let's get started. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddush shanu b'mitzvah v'tzavanu la'asoch debrevei Torah. All right. Torah study with Rashi. We are talking about Parsha Terumah, which means portion, gift, contribution, something like that. All right. So this particular Parsha has a lot of numbers. So, since we have all these numbers and measurements and cubits or amos or amot or amah, hand breadth, yeah, we got a lot of things going on. So, as we get started, we are get to learn a lot today, and a lot of what we're going to learn is, things. I don't know, depending on how far we get. We're going to talk about the construction of the ark, which is kind of interesting. Let me ask you this question. This is a fun question, and Rashi is going to talk about it. How many arks is the ark? You've been told two. Well,
how many arks are there, or how many arks is the ark?
How many arks is the ark?
Oh.
The answer is 3. And Rashi will talk about it, but it's like, okay, so it's three arks in one. Okay, let's move on. I'm just going to go straight from the translation of Rashi. As far as like the English goes, and we'll kind of move on from there. All right, and get to the right page. That would be helpful. There it is. All right, Exodus, for those who are keeping track, this is Exodus or Shemot, chapter 25, verse 1. Okay. Hashem spoke to Moses, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, and they shall take to me a portion. From every man whose heart will motivate him, ye shall take my portion." Verse 3, "And this is the portion that ye shall take from them: gold, silver, copper, turquoise wool, and purple wool, and scarlet wool, and linen, goat's hair, ram skins that are dyed red, Tahashim skins, shittim wood, oil for the light, spices for the anointing oil, and for the raising the smoke of the incense, shohem stones and filling stones, for the ephod, and for the choshen, verse 8, they shall make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell among them. All right, so that was a list. All right. Coming out swinging. Let's see. They shall take from me a portion. Verse 2 is what we're talking about. For me means dedicated to what? My name. So that's pretty much self-explanatory. A portion, Rashi continues, that is something set aside. And that's with Terumah. As any portion is the word Terumah is what he's referring to. So it's like you set it aside, which is the idea of a gift. You're setting aside a gift. Okay. They should set some of their money aside for me as a contribution. So, okay, so moving on. Whose heart will motivate him. It is a voluntary expression of voluntary contribution, right? He will give voluntarily. It is an expression of goodwill. And Rashi uses Old French. He uses, I don't even know how to pronounce it.
Well, he spoke Old French.
Yeah, you did speak Old French. That would
He
that
was in
would
France in the old-
that would make sense. That would make sense. Appeasement. You took French.
I'd have to see how it's spelled.
Apaisement.
It's probably appeasement.
Appeasement.
That's probably how it's pronounced. But
Interesting. Which is where we get the English word appeasement.
yeah.
Okay. Yes, because you need to have the accent that makes it all the better.
Yeah.
Okay. You shall take my portion. He's moving on. We're still in verse 2. Our rabbis have said that there are, okay, so this is going to be an explanation here of portion, and it's kind of interesting. All right. You shall take my portion. Our rabbis have said that there are 3 portions stated here. One is the portion of a beka. Means split. The word beka means split. Okay.
Kareem, Becca. Yeah.
Yes.
It's that portion.
Yes, it's the portion. Yes, beka from bikarim.
Same root.
It is the same root, exactly. And Rebbetzin, who has graced us with her presence today.
Yay.
Yay! All right.
Easier than typing.
It's easier than typing. Yes. Yes, I agree. Okay. So one is the portion of a beka per head, which is split, from which the sockets for the beams and pillars of the Mishkan were made. Okay. So what he's saying here, it's stated in the Parshat Ele Pekudei. Okay, that's the Parsha later on, which is chapter 38 of Exodus. We're talking about half shekel of silver, which this silver is used for the beams and pillars and the sockets of the Mishkan or the tabernacle. Okay, and later, no, I'll move on. I don't want to go too fast. Okay. Moving on, one is the portion of the Mizbeach, which is the altar, right? So whenever you hear the word Mizbeach in Hebrew, we're talking about the actual altar in the court, outside of the Kodesh Kodeshim, outside of the holy place, the Hehal. Words. Anyway, yes. So it's the big one. It's the big altar.
That was made of unhewn stones.
Well, yes, but there was also in the temple, and you have copper involved with it. Okay.
And the top surface of the Mizbeach was about 1,750 square feet.
Yes. It's a big one.
So keep that in mind. It's a large space.
So what's the copper involved in it?
I'm not sure. We'll see what Aaron says.
So, when you're talking about
Here,
special,
implements and stuff.
yeah, especially, when you're talking about the tabernacle, for sure, you had copper for the Mizbeach.
What do they call it, a laver? Where you wash?
The copper for the,
Laver. Yeah, for
laver.
washing the hands.
and that way may have been used too, right? So we had a multiplicity of monies, if you will, given, and each goes to certain, however they were deemed to go, where the funds went. All right, so one is a portion of the Mizbeach, a beka, per head, and placed in the boxes. So the boxes that he is referring to here, make sure I'm not, is 3 boxes were filled from the gathering of funds. It was from these 3 boxes that the communal sacrifices were purchased for the Mizbeach, for the altar. Right? You wonder how was the money, how how do we know they got paid for the sacrifices, which is weird. But, how do they afford the animals? It's from contributions like this. Okay. Let's see here. One
It
was,
also made all of Israel part owners of the Korban.
it did make part owners of the Korban,
It
yes.
was, it was an attachment to it. That way.
Exactly. All right. So from which they were taken of funds with which to purchase the communal offerings. And one was the portion for the Mishkan, the actual tabernacle itself. The contribution of each individual who contributed to 13 items mentioned in this passage. All right, we're still in verse 2. Okay. Gold and silver and copper and all that is listed in this passage, right? Were all required either for the work of the Mishkan or for the priestly garments when you examine them carefully. Okay, and that's just the beginning of verse 2. What was all involved, right? When we're talking about these items or the list here, was this mandatory? No, this was given from Israel to Hashem for the tabernacle and for the continuing, ongoing business, if you will, of the tabernacle. Verse 3, yay. Gold and silver and copper, etc. All of the items mentioned came voluntarily, as we were just discussing. Each individual gave as much as his heart moved him to, except for the silver, which came equally from all individuals, a half shekel each. We have not found in the entire construction of the Mishkan that more silver than the half shekalim mentioned was above was needed. So all the silver that was needed came from the half shekel. As it says, and the silver of those who were counted of the assembly, etc., a beka per head, etc. Okay. The rest of the silver that came as a contribution, they made into service implements for use in the Mishkan. All right, verse 4. Turquoise wool. Yeah, turquoise wool. The wool is dyed with the blood of a chilazon, and according to Rashi, it is sea green. Now, Rabbi Bernstein, his memory be blessed, taught that they found, but it was a snail, right? And that this snail was the one that gave the color for tachelet. And I don't know. I mean, the idea is translated here as sea green.
The Hebrew and the Aramaic are both Techelet.
Yeah, but the Hebrew and Aramaic is tachelet. Thank you. So, but was it sea green?
Turquoise is kind of that color.
Turquoise is kind of that color, right? But
The sea is various colors of green.
the sea is various colors of green or blue,
That's true.
right? Yeah. I mean, okay.
And that snail disappeared.
It did. The snail disappeared.
And then came back after 1948.
And after 1948, the snail reappeared mysteriously.
And some of the Rabbanim still think that it's the cuttlefish that you use for the dye, and then others say the snail, and really attach a lot of import to the fact that the snails returned.
Right. Yeah. So there is.
But the
A
color
discussion.
is definitely not indigo, as
It
we
is-
know from the Daf Yomi.
is-
Indigo
is
is not Techelet.
Argamon,
And that's purple.
indigo, purple,
Yeah.
mauve.
But you'll see a lot of people selling tzitzis, and it's a real dark blue.
It's a really dark blue. Yeah, yeah. Oh, and I've seen that too.
Yeah, and they're not necessarily wool. It's
Yeah,
kind of-
I mean that's trigger
Buyer
there.
beware.
It's like buyer beware. Is your techelet? Right? You have to know these things. It's
the more
it's
you
a-
know, the more you're responsible for.
yes, that's true. The more you know, the more you're responsible for. Do you really want to know?
Ignorance is bliss.
Ignorance is bliss.
Oh, I didn't know.
No, it's knowing. In other words, you do not. If you think you have techelet, this is in the body of Messiah is it can be a problem, let's just say it that way, that people are wearing their tzitziot, well, number one, on a belt loop, but number two, they have it on like a dark blue that doesn't look like real techelet, right? Slade Henson wears real techelet on his tzitzit. And it's different from your dark blue. There is it's slightly lighter, and I guess that's where the green comes in, ish.
It's called so many different.
Yeah, it's called so many different colors. I mean, it's Rashi from
But
Old
the
French.
It's also supposed to be wool. only.
It is supposed to be wool. That would be
And
correct.
again, you'll see tchelet sold and you can tell it's not wool.
Oh yeah, you can. Oh, plus you can see some of these is it acrylic or nylon
Yeah.
tzitzit?
Nylon,
I mean, you
yeah.
can see these, and you're like,
Snap
dude, that
back
doesn't
like a rubber band.
that doesn't look like wool. I mean, that thing is like, I don't know how some of them are like super stiff.
But tchelet, you have to soak first in vinegar before you start using them.
Yeah.
That helps to set the dye, and then you can actually.
Yeah,
There's
yeah,
a lot
yeah.
going on with the real stuff.
Right, and here's the question for those watching, from whoever watches this later on. So we were just having a discussion that techelet was found, and there's a debate, but with the snail that's found in 1948. So here's the question, right? Since they found techelet, and there was debate whether it was or it wasn't, there's still kind of talk about it today, but it's pretty commonly accepted that the snail is techelet.
Sometime after 1948.
19 after 48. Yeah.
Yeah, within 20 years, but.
Within 20 years, yeah.
Year.
Right. And so in Israel, you will have some that wear techelet and some that don't. Now, before they found the techelet, right, they wore white. So here's the question of the day. And I know we know this here, but is wearing white tzitziot acceptable still? It is. It is. It's like, just because they found it, which is true, does not make the white, which has been used for centuries, now wrong. It doesn't make that. So white tzitziot are still accepted.
It's a sign of mourning that the temple has not yet been rebuilt.
A sign of mourning that the temple has still not been rebuilt. Yes, sounds like a good one there.
Yeah,
All right,
that's from Steve.
that's from Rabbi Bernstein.
So when it's rebuilt, does everybody have to have?
We should have the
Well-
tchelet, well, the men should have the tchelet and the tzitzit, yes.
Once the temple is, or the mikdash is returned, and the here you go. Once the Sanhedrin has been reinstated.
It's-
Yes, I said that the Sanhedrin's been reinstated, and then once the mikdash is rebuilt, techelet will be back on tzitziot. We see the Sanhedrin has to approve that this is the true techelet, right?
It's
Which
the real miracle.
It's the-
Building the building is not going to be so easy
Okay.
compared to that.
get the Sanhedrin put together, because in order to have the temple rebuilt, you got to have a Sanhedrin. We do not have an official Sanhedrin yet. Rabbi Bernstein has taught that there has been efforts in the past since 1948, but it has not happened yet. But once they have a Sanhedrin, here's the kicker. Everybody's watching Israel out there. Here's the kicker. If Israel comes up and has a Sanhedrin reinstated, like a legit Sanhedrin reinstated, watch out, the temple's coming up soon. Because it's a miracle, as the Rebbe was saying, it would be a miracle to get a Sanhedrin back together right now,
I think that's the greater miracle.
right? And if you can get all of them to agree on a Rosh Sanhedrin number one, and then have them come together as a group, and then the temple will be coming up, because
Yeshua says he's coming back when all the brothers love each other.
when all the brothers love each other. That's true. Wow, we're kind of far away from that at the moment. Hopefully, Bezrat Hashem, it happens soon, and in our days. I want the temple. Okay, moving on. Okay, and purple wool. Right, we're still in verse 4. Anybody's watching. This wool is dyed with a type of dye whose name is argamon, which is when now we're talking about wool dyed purple. This is the purple argamon, right? So now you have techelet and argamon. Okay. And then linen, and this is linen that's made from flax and goat's hair. It literally means pile of goats. But it's not talking about actual, it just comes off of goats. It falls off of goats. It's goat's hair.
It's the finer hair, that's why they're using that
Oh,
term. They're trying to make it sound like the down of a bird. It's a pile of a goat.
Goats have finer hair.
Real fine hair, yeah. Underneath the coarse hair.
Underneath the coarse hair. It seems pretty coarse, but I believe you. All right. So dyed red. Verse 5. These hides were dyed red, or ram skins. I say hides as ram skins. Were dyed red after their tanning. In other words, the skin was already, or the leather was already taken care of before it was dyed red. And then you got to chesem. This is the type of animal which only existed at that time. Yeah, this is an animal. So when we're talking about, this is verse 5. Verse 5, ram skins that are dyed red and chesem skins. What are some of the translations?
It doesn't even say.
For Tachash,
Fine leather.
Yes.
there are so many stories about what they
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
There are so many, and you'll see it translated dolphin skin.
Yeah,
Oh.
dolphin
You'll
skin.
You'll see
Yeah,
it
it's
in the Midrash, the Tachash is described as a horse-like creature with one horn and rainbow skin.
oh, a unicorn.
Yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes, that's in
wow.
Midrash.
Yeah, Midrash states this is a unicorn.
Wow.
Shabbat shalom. So, yeah. All right. So yes, the Midrash talks about this particular animal, which has multiple colors
And a horn.
and a horn.
One horn.
Kind of looks like a horse. Yeah.
First time I read that, I took a copy of that page and I sent it to Kay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's right.
Like,
That's funny.
Or it could be a sea animal that was in the middle of the desert, or wilderness rather.
Something miraculous.
Yeah, it was,
something amazing.
and it only happened at that
I
time.
just look,
Yeah,
for such a time as that.
sometime as that.
Here, let me spin ya.
Therefore,
I'm not trying to hurt you, I'm just trying to make you kosher.
it had many colors. Therefore, it is rendered by Targum onkelos. For it rejoices and prides itself in his colors. So if you wanted to know more on that, Tanhuma 6, Tractate Shabbat 28a and b. Since the Tachash existed only in the wilderness while the children of Israel were there, there should be no word for it in any language other than Hebrew. So unicorn shouldn't work, but it seems to. How then can Targum onkelos translate it? Rashi explains that the Targum is not translating, but is explaining what the animal looked like. Okay.
Aaron,
Oh, onkelos.
that's what I'm spending this year in.
Oh, that's what you're spending this year. Oh, the Targum.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah, because it's Hebrew and Aramaic, and I'm really.
Practicing on Hebrew. Oh, very nice, very nice. Okay, so moving on. So, okay. Make sure here. All right, and shittim wood from, so this is interesting. So this is a particular wood from a tree, right? Although debate on which tree it is, okay? Because there's multiple answers from the translation. From where did they have shittim wood in the wilderness? Rabbi Tenhuma explained our forefather Jacob foresaw through divine inspiration that Israel was destined to build a Mishkan in the wilderness. He brought shittim trees to Egypt and planted them there, and he commanded his sons to take them with them when they would depart from Egypt.
Right.
So basically, they took the wood with them when they left Egypt. is what Rabbi Terumah, and that's why they had it. Did that really happen? And you have to ask the question.
They probably did take it.
They probably did take it. Yeah, that.
Any pictures you see of Sinai area? Ain't a tree on the site in 50,000.
Well, we cut them all down.
They cut them all down.
Yeah.
All right. 6. Verse 6. Oil for the light. This is pure olive oil to kindle a lamp continually. Okay. And there was a special way this oil was made. Right. It's just not like your average oil from the press. Yeah, it's not from the bottle you buy at the store. And this was a specially made oil. So the note here says Rashi explains why oil was considered so precious that it was included in this special donation. It was not ordinary oil. It was the pure oil needed for the menorah, and its preparation demanded special skills. Rashi also explains why the verse says for the light with the vowelized, with the lamed, vowelized with a patach, rather than for light with a shva. Now, those who are taking Hebrew know Hebrew. The shva is in Nukud. How many dots? And what do they look like? Yeah, 2 dots, like a colon, right? And then a patach, what does that look like? A dash on the bottom of the letter. Okay, very good. The pure olive oil was needed for a particular light, that of the menorah itself. Okay. Spices for the anointing oil, which was made to anoint the implements of the Mishkan and the Mishkan itself to sanctify it. Spices were required for it, as stated specifically or explicitly in Parshat Kitisa, or Kitisa. We'll get there someday. And for the raising smoke of the incense, which they would cause to go up in smoke each evening and morning, as stated explicitly in Parshat Tetzaveh. The expression meaning, which is ketoret, means a raising of vapor or a column of smoke. Incense. Right. So now we'll go to verse 7. We're talking about shohem stones. Okay. 2 were needed there to meet the requirement of the ephod, which is mentioned in Parshat Tetzaveh. Now, all right. The ephod. What is that? We've heard that. It is like it's like a vest, kind of. It's multicolored. It goes over the linen gown that they're wearing, right? This is a Kohen Gadol, right? And so this ephod multicolored, and this ephod, which is like a vest, had the choshen, which is the plate that had the stones, the 12 stones, right? Okay. But then on top, right here, like on your shoulders, you had 2 stones. Onyx stones, really, is what they were translated to. Okay. I don't know if that helps you guys out there, but it helps me. It helps me seeing myself do this. Yes. But Tetzaveh, we'll get to that too. It's like, do you want to know more information about this? Rashi here is giving parshiot that explains. Okay. Filling stones, because they make an indented setting for them in gold and put the stone there to fill the indention, they are called filling stones. Right? So you have like a gold area for the stone to set in. It's like a set. Okay. I lost my place. There we go. And the place of this setting is called a frame. For the ephod and for the choshen, I'm still in 7. The shohem stones for the ephod and the filling stones for the choshen, the choshen and ephod are described in Parshat Tetzaveh. Tetzaveh. Words. Tetzaveh.
Within Judaism, that's what they use instead of chapter and verse.
Yes.
But they
And
don't have chapters and verses.
no, they don't have chapters and
They just
verses.
tell you what
Partial.
parsha
Yeah, they send
something
parsha.
is in. When
Exactly.
they're quoting something, they just name the parsha.
Right. Which is not a bad thing because yeah. They are types of ornaments for the Kohen HaGadol. Verse 8, they shall make me a sanctuary. They will make a house of sanctity dedicated to my name. All right. Verse 9, in conformance with all that I show you. Right here, the format of the Mishkan. This verse is connected to the verse above it or before it, and they shall make me a sanctuary in conformance with all that I show you. Right? And so shall you do. So here's an interesting word. So if you go back to verse 9, in conformance with all that I show you, the form of the tabernacle and the form of all its vessels, so shall you do. Why does it have to? Rashi here makes a point here. It says, and so shall you do. And he means in future generations. Okay? Should one of the implements be lost, or when you will make the implements of the eternal house, what's that? What's the eternal house? The temple itself. Yeah. Not the Mikdash, but the Mishkan. Right? Right. Wrong. Right? What's the
I don't know
house?
what the first word is.
The Mikdash is the actual temple. The Mishkan is the tabernacle. I flipped them.
I would say it applies in this case.
It does, but the eternal house, what's eternal? Because is the tabernacle eternal or temporary?
Well, it definitely turned out to be temporary.
Well, I mean, it's mobile, right? It's mobile, right? The temple
That's
itself,
probably the better way to do it is mobile versus fixed.
mobile versus fixed,
Yeah.
right? Because the temple, you're not moving. Once you set it, it's set. Okay, such as the tables, candelabra, lavers, and stands that King Solomon made, make them according to the format of these implements that you are making for the Mishkan. If the beginning of the verse were not connected to the verse above it, it should not have written in so shall you do, but rather so shall you do. The word and is there, right? And so you should do, and then without the and, so shall you do. Does it sound like I repeated myself? Well, yes, but just added the word and. Okay. It would have then have been discussing the present construction of the Mishkan and its implements. I heard something. What we're talking about here is that the language here Rashi is saying in Hebrew is not only is this talking about the Mishkan or the tabernacle of the day, it's actually a commandment for future generations if something would happen in the times that say the temple is not there, right? There's
God knew that was going to happen.
yeah, right. And so the commandment is there to have these items. So the question is Israel still commanded to have a temple today? And the answer is yes. It's never gone away.
And the implement should be made the same way.
And the implement should be made the same way. That what we're reading right now, right? Should be. It's so we're talking.
That's why we have the Temple Institute.
That's why we have the Temple Institute,
We have
right?
A lot of the implements and clothing and
Mhm.
everything ready
So
to
do
go.
they
Remember?
make it by hand just like?
Oh, I'm
did in
sure
the
they
old
do. I'm sure they make it according to the ancient ones, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that leads me to sort of, which may be a stupid question,
Hmm.
but we were wondering when, instead of a Mishkan, when Solomon built the temple, is it the exact same dimensions, thank you, as the Mishkan?
No.
The temple is different, is a different size?
It's if the same.
I think it's the same ratios in a different
It's
size.
it's the
That's-
same
that's-
ratio,
yeah.
but it's different size. So in other words, it's bigger but the same ratio,
Huh.
right?
As far as the courts and the,
Right.
and the Hikal.
Right. So they're stated that there is like more than one menorah in the temple of Solomon of Shlomo, right?
And the
And
Mizbeach wasn't nearly as big.
no, the Mizbeach,
Until we were actually on the Temple Mount.
right?
The
Right.
portable Mizbeach.
The portable mizbeach.
And
Uh,
that was
Yeah,
basically made out of wood and it got filled with earth.
yeah.
And it wasn't the stones and stuff until
Mhm.
we got into the temple.
There's a lady out front that was looking for the food pantry. I'm sorry, Erin. And this used to be the food pantry, and I said it's a synagogue. And she said, I don't speak very good English, but I want to know more about your synagogue. And she's still out there.
My Spanish isn't real good, but.
Okay. In terms of,
So are you,
Do you want me to go with you?
once you're finished with that subject, I
Yes.
want you to go back to verse 8, because what Rashi,
Verse
what
8.
you read is much different than what we have.
okay. So the request has been made to go back to verse 8. We have a translational thing, it seems like, at least between different forms of the English translation, right? So we have the Rashi translation into English.
Okay, I have to interrupt.
Yes.
Rashi did not use English.
No,
Rashi
correct. The
used
translation.
French. It's the art scroll translation. of
Okay.
English.
Right. I was talking about like the Rashi book.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
Rashi, that's what's used in the
Yeah,
Rashi
yeah.
book, but that's Rashi never.
Yeah, Rashi didn't.
French and Hebrew.
I don't even know English was a thing in Rashi's time. So, I mean, it's so,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
Just clarifying.
No, you can clarify that by all means. Clarifying the clarification is Rashi didn't speak English, right? And so when we're talking about English with Rashi, we're talking about a translation, and the translation that we're talking about here is the translation of Rashi from the art scroll, right here, versus whatever English translation you have right there. Okay, so we're going back to verse 8. My translation. Here says, they shall make me a sanctuary so that I may dwell among them in conformance with all that I show you.
So that sounds more like what we have.
That sounds like more like you have?
Yeah.
Okay. The form of the tabernacle and the form of all its vessels, and so shall you do. We good?
That's fine. Yeah, we're good.
Cool. Fantastic. All right. We're going to verse 10, which says here, in verse 10, they shall make an aron of shittim wood, 2.5 amos its length, and an amma and a half its width, and an amma and a half its height. You shall cover it with pure gold from outside shall you cover it, and you shall make on it a golden diadem all around. That makes perfect sense. I got it. So what's an amma?
Two amis.
Like an alma or an amos is another word for cubit. So the size of a cubit, well, you have different people say different things. Yeah, from like your fingertip to your elbow. So I would say anywhere from 19 inches to like 22.5 or 23 inches ish, something like that. So that's an amma. So when you have 2.5 amos or amot, depending on your Ashkenazi or Sephardic, right? So now you're talking about, let's just say it's 23 inches or 22 inches rather. And so 2.5, so it's 44 inches plus another 11. So you have 55 inches between, right there wide. Okay. Just to kind of give everybody out there, because I'll be throwing out all these, names of measurements, and I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But it kind of gives you an idea that an amos or an amma would be. See, I know that's what you do behind the screen. You sit there and you laugh at me, and that's why I say I see you. That's why, That's why I see you, and I'm like, Represent, I know you're laughing. All right. So now, be gone my English A's or A's, whatever. A. Okay. So now we're talking about 22 inches-ish, right? And then you got 2.5. So, all right. So it's a rectangle, right? The ark or the aron is a rectangle. Okay. similar to the arks they made without legs. So the Aron, or the ark, does not have legs on it. It's sat flat on the ground.
What? It says attach them to its 4 feet. Does that mean it has legs?
It's similar. They shall make an Aron they make without legs. So
What verse are you in where it says feet?
12, next one down.
4 corners here.
Oh, it says
Yeah,
corners?
so, yeah, just,
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
let English be really generic. Yeah.
All right. So, I mean here, so they see, made like a trunk, this is Rashi, made like a trunk which they called eskrin in Old French, which rests on its bottom. Okay. Verse 11, from inside and from outside you shall cover it. Okay, and this is the ark. And you weren't here for my question.
No.
Oh, I'm going to ask her right out. How many arks did Bezalel make for the one ark? I did phrase it differently. I did. I made it more
I don't know
concise.
what the P word was, what that is.
The Bezalel. Bezalel is the name of a person that actually constructed the ark.
Oh,
So
who constructed it?
he's the one who constructed it. How many arks did he make?
I don't know.
He made 3.
How many three?
So, and this is the answer, right? Okay, so you have you have an ark that's gold on the outside, wood in the center,
Oh.
wood, gold on the inside. Okay, how do you get that construction? How do you get the gold, right? You know, it's like, oh, you make a wood ark and you dip it in a gold bath of some sort. Well, that's not what he did. You know, what he did was Bezalel made 3 arks, 2 golden, 1 wooden. 4 walls and a bottom for each. And they were open at the top. So in other words, just no top. Okay. He put the wooden one into the larger golden one, and the smaller golden one into the wooden one, and overlaid its upper rim with gold. And it turns out that it's covered with gold from inside and from outside. Okay. So to kind of give an idea. You see it's kind of going on the inside. Okay, anybody out there?
But each
It's in
box
reverse.
couldn't be the same dimension.
No, they had to be, they had to nest.
Yeah,
It's
they had
nesting
to nest,
boxes.
yeah.
And the inner gold one had a little lip on it so that it would cover that part of the wood.
Yep.
That was still showing.
So
And then
the-
the outer box was the tallest of the.
Yep.
So which one actually met the what God said? The
All
outer
of them
box?
together.
Oh, all
Yeah,
of them together?
all of them together
All
combined
listed
made
together,
the.
smushed together to
yep.
make one box out of the 3.
Okay.
I would say
So
the
the outer
largest one
box would have to be
probably
that
fits the
dimension.
dimensions.
Yeah,
Right.
And then
okay,
everything else had to be scaled.
yeah.
So
okay.
I would-
continuing on, verse 11, a golden diadem, kind of like a crown,
Yep.
right? A sort of crown going all the way around it, above its edge.
But think of crown molding. I mean,
Like a
it's
crown molding.
crown.
Yeah.
Again, the English is gonna.
Mm-hmm.
confuse
English.
more than help most of the time.
Right. He made the outer golden ark higher than the inner golden one until it rose opposite the thickness of the lid of the Aron and slightly above it. When the lid rests upon the thickness of the walls of the Aron, the diadem rises slightly above the entire thickness of the lid. In other words, the crown went higher than the bottom of the lid itself. Okay. Okay, the diadem rises slightly above the entire thickness of the lid, and it is a symbol for the crown of Torah. Verse 12, and you shall pour. Right, when we're talking about verse 12, and you shall pour for it 4 rings of gold and place them on its 4 corners, 2 rings on one side and 2 rings on the other. Okay. The word for using pour is like casting. And onkelos, Targum onkelos explains it that way. Its corners, this word is to be understood as is rendered by Targum onkelos, its corners, the rings were placed in the upper corners next to the lid. Not on the lid, next to the lid. It was actually on the aron, that's the actual rings were on. Okay, 2 on one side and 2 on the other. At the width of the aron, the poles were put into them, and the length of the aron separates between the 2 poles, 2.5 amos between one pole and the other, so that 2 people who carried the aron could walk between them. So that it was explained in Menachos, in Perek, Shetei Ha Lachem. Okay. The aron, or the ark, is a rectangle, right? You have a long side and you have a short side. You have 2 poles. And you have 4 Kohanim, or Levites, carrying the ark. How did they carry it? I mean, so the idea is that when they carried the ark, they had to be on the inside, not on the outside. Right? So you have the poles here, they are in the inside, right, of the poles. They weren't on the outside.
Why?
Because that's how they carried it. I don't know why. That's how they carried it.
Oh, by inside, do they mean like on their shoulders?
Yes, but you had
Oh,
on their
okay.
shoulders, right? So you had the
Well, then,
the-
yeah, that'd be inside.
well, you have see people on like carrying stuff with poles on the outside, right? They'd be on the outside. No, this is on the inside, so it's all like straight line. Nothing goes outside of the ark dimensions per se, right? So you have the longer side. That's where the priests stand next to each other. The guy on the left had the one pole on the left shoulder. The guy on the right had the pole on the right shoulder as they walked, right? And they needed to be in between the poles, so you had to do the longer side so they could fit,
Yeah.
right, in the rectangle.
So how much did the ark?
Hmm?
How much did it weigh?
Oh, it's a good question. I don't know.
Because they were only using 4 men.
It seemed like
with all
And gold is supposed to be soft, so a gold ring, how can that hold up the weight?
And here's the thing. I mean, I think we're gonna stop here. The poles never left the rings.
Right.
Once the poles were there, they never, even for like people would say, well, we're no longer transporting it, let's take the poles out. No, that's not how it worked. They would actually put the poles, they left the poles in there. All right. Well, that's fun. You want to know more about the ark? This is the partial for it. Shabbat shalom, everyone.